Okay, shalom, shalom, kwam yasha'Allah, koholoyin la Yahweh, Bachashem Yahweh Shai, Bachashem, B'chahakodash, double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth, and just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai to the best of their ability. This is Yachanan the Waf, just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And this is a color enhanced image shared by multiple social media users, revealed a strange green glow around 3i Atlas or 3-1 Atlas. I'm not sure what they're calling this shit, but I found it interesting though, some of the things that was being said in the ending part of the article. But this is from the Daily Mail. Mysterious interstellar visitor spotted above Mars appears as a massive cylinder craft. New extraordinary images of the interstellar object flying through our solar system have been released, sparking fresh theories about its origins. Although most scientists have concluded that this mysterious object is a comet, NASA's Perseverance rover on the Martian surface sent back photos showing what appears to be a massive cylinder shape. Stargazers on social media shared colored enhanced images of the object, dubbed 3i Atlas, which showed the interstellar visitor having a green glow as it passed Mars and heads closer to the sun. Now, you have a lot of people that's into stuff like this. It's a lot of, low at-home backyard astrologers, you know what I'm saying? Got some pretty decent telescopes, and they gauge the skies all the time, and they have computer systems. They keep up with all this stuff. So it's not just NASA and, now they have the bigger technology, of course, but you got some pretty, matter of fact, you've had backyard astrologers that have actually discovered certain comets and certain planetary systems, so to speak, and they've gotten that credit, just from having a regular damn telescope, and just gazing up at night, right? So it's people out here that's, that know some stuff and can see some things that NASA and the rest of these organizations are not necessarily giving the information for. And that's one of the points that I wanted to get in the end of this article too, that I found interesting. But it says stargazers on, we got that part already. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, who has been convinced that the object could be an alien craft or probe, which we believe that, you know what I'm saying? But even if it's not, we understand that, these are, a lot of these, what they're calling UFOs, they are the chariots of the Lord, man. These are, and I was trying to watch this documentary. It came out this year, where supposedly a bunch of, scientists or weird, government people, basically, I mean, some of the stuff that they said, I could, can see as being true. Because what they were basically saying was that Esau he has imitation, or he has duplicated or tried to duplicate spacecraft that supposedly look like, your flying saucer type of UFO stuff, and what they were saying in the documentary. I can't think what the name of the documentary was, but basically he was saying they're gonna use stuff like that as a false flag to make people, kind of think that there's an alien invasion. I forgot the name of that particular program. But, that could be true. I believe that, because Esau, he's definitely losing the information war, and he wants to get a hold of that narrative again, because he's losing that narrative. That internet, is kicking his ass right now. But the lies that they were telling in a particular documentary was that these crafts have crashed, and they got these little green men. They have evidence that, the government, remember they was even talking about that in Congress. So, Esau, he'll spin the story because he wants to get in control of the narrative. But, they're spinning this story as if, they found some craft. This guy was talking about 1,000 or so have already crashed. They have the spacecraft. They have the little green men that were inside and all this other bullshit. But so just look for some false flags even from that end, man. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, let me grab a quick scripture real quick. So we're reading through all this. It's a quick little lesson. I was just kind of reading through it. because there's more and more accounts that's coming out as this thing gets closer. But this is 2 Corinthians 2:11. And it reads, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So we're not ignorant of, how Esau gets down. He's the false flag man. He's the father of lies, so to speak. He speaks, lies like, his spiritual counterpart, Satan, the so-called white man. He's the physical counterpart of Satan on this planet, man. So he will duplicate and push lie. I mean, that's his job. He don't have no choice. That's what he does. It's our job, to move in the spirit and be prayerful and watchful and know how this man gets down and know his moves and be able to maneuver and blow the trumpet and let our people know what's going on with this guy. Okay, but it says this particular guy at Harvard, the astrophysicist, he analyzed the Perseverance rover's photos by calculating its distance, speed, and camera settings. And Esau, he be on some shit. Matter of fact, that scripture that talks about he's wiser than Daniel. Esau be on some shit, man. This motherfucker search out everything. That's how he know. He searches out everything. I'll put it that way. This guy's on a constant search. He'll never stop searching because he can never have enough. Ezekiel 28:3, it says, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from me. Right? So you can't hide them from Esau. Esau is out in the space. This motherfucker is in the ocean. He's got cameras all over the freeways. He's got license plate readers. He's got your camera on your damn phone looking at you, microphone, whatever, man. Okay, but it says, according to its initial study, the astrophysicist was not convinced 3i Atlas is actually a massive cylinder object. Nothing that the strange shape might have been tricked. Salakia, noting that the strange shape might have been a trick of the rover's camera stretching out its shape. He explained that the apparent cylinder from the rover's nav cam was likely caused by the camera stacking hundreds of images of 3i Atlas over a period of about 10 minutes, making it look like making it look more like a log than a ball. The professor added that 3i Atlas is likely smaller and rounder, but still massive with a potential diameter of more than 28 miles across. Dr. Horace Drew, a retired senior researcher at Australia's Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization. See, these Edomites, they all over the world, man. With I'm talking about telescopes, motherfuckers can see, can see. And this is how we know that they have good, clear footage of these UFOs and what's inside, so to speak. If there's a window to them, they can peer right directly into the window, unless of course, they're cloaked or the Lord don't want them to be seen. But if they can see that far out, you don't think that they don't have footage of what they call UFOs up close and personal, man? That's come on, bro. Esau's a damn liar. Okay, but it says he noted that the mysterious green glow seen in some images could be the result of the object being an interstellar spacecraft coated in nickel. All right. Drew explained that humans use the same practice on Earth-made space technologies on a much smaller scale, because we know that Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, he deals with the left-hand side, and he has given Esau certain technology, but they're so damn prideful, they think that they actually came up with it themselves. It says, it is not a comic, Drew declared on a post on X Monday morning. Drew disagreed with Laab's conclusion that the cylinder shape was a result of Mars rover sending back a stretched image over several minutes, claiming that an amateur astronomer on Earth captured a similar shape with their telescope. See, so it's amateur astrologers out here. They into that stuff, man. We can see an extended white shape with a green coma outside, not a small white ball, Drew explained in a post about the astronomer's photograph. Drew, who earned his PhD in chemistry from the California Institute of Technology, and they put that in there. You got to put the credentials to let you know that, okay, this guy knows his stuff. Added that previous images of the interstellar object were allegedly from a head-on view and didn't capture its shape from the side like the new photos from Mars. So that side shape. So basically, I'm assuming they're saying that from the front view is 28 miles across. So imagine the side to side view if that's the case, man. Crazy, bro. Loab said he's excited about another image taken by different Mars cameras called High Rise, which has better resolution and could show 3i Atlas more clearly. That image is being sent back to Earth by the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, MRO, and has yet to be released by NASA. Okay, well, all right, well, why isn't NASA releasing it? Right? Because it look, if they know, trust me, they got some good footage, man. Trust me, I'm willing to bet you, Esau got some good footage, and you just never know what kind of false flag this guy might pull. Because let's just say all this ICE shit that's going on, the FBI popping up and surrounding, fucking buildings in Chicago, and the military, and all these distractions, Charlie Kirk, all this, it's so much shit going on, all these church shootings, you even have more train derailments, all kinds of shit going on. Let's just say all that's going on to get your mindset off of this right here, but it says Loab has previously theorized that 3i Atlas could be a second craft sent by an extraterrestrial intelligence following the strange cylindrical object known as Oumuamua. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I remember that one though. It was 2017 when that passed Earth. But here's another picture, supposedly. Hey, something glowing on that boy, right? Loab told the Daily Mail on Thursday that clear images and a scan of the supposed comet composition were the key findings that could definitely tell scientists what 3i Atlas is. Despite images emerging from NASA, space agencies around the world have still not commented by their initial findings from Mars flyby. Okay, well, why? Why are you holding up this information? This should be big, man. This is huge. Shouldn't the humans of Earth know? No, man. These governments are all in it together, and like, hey, look, no. We cannot let the citizens know, because first off, it'll send out panic. It'll actually prove that, you know what I'm saying, with the Hebrew Israelites, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, that they are the true biblical Hebrew Israelites. It would be too much to explain, and plus, it's been too much information that's coming out that these crafts are being piloted by, so-called black men, so to speak. Okay, but it says, despite images emerging from NASA, space agencies around the world have still not commented by their initial findings from the Mars flyby. And these are all Edomites generally, but China, the motherfuckers got satellites and telescopes, and all these nations do. They all of them got their thing in on that. They got these huge places, man, where they study the skies, man. Because they're into space travel and shit like that, so they have to have that ups, even on a military from a military aspect. They have to have the ups, because America got what you call the Space Force and all this other shit. Okay, but it says Daily Mail reached out to NASA for comment and received a message noting that the space agency is currently closed due to a lapse in government funding. Aha. Think about that now. Think about that. That's really suspicious. Because, I mean, they shut down for... Generally, because there's certain things that's still open as far as the government shutdown. You would think that this would still be open because NASA kind of plays a huge part in watching the skies, and I'm sure they have their hands in maybe some military surveillance operations for the government and stuff like that. So I can't see these people being shut down like that. Okay, but it says the European Space Agency ESA used the Mars Express and ExoMars trace gas orbiters to successfully observe 3i Atlas, but it's expected to take days or even weeks to process all the data. Okay, so here's another one. Y'all still don't have you out there. You looking at, you sending back all these beautiful pictures of Jupiter and all this other shit. You're supposedly out there. Because Esau, he'll fucking AI a picture and send it to your ass in a minute, talking about, yep, these are pictures that we took from this galaxy. Don't get me wrong, Esau got some stuff out there, But it says, meanwhile, this is the point that I wanted to make right here. Meanwhile, Some on social media have claimed that the global silence surrounding 3i Atlas as proof that the governments, not government, but governments, these world governments, are covering up what they know about the alleged craft. NASA's shutdown is suspicious. The ESA's delay is strange. But China's silence, and you know they should be saying something because they want to be the smart guys in the world, you know. But China's silence, when they have every geopolitical reason to publish and show off, is the sign that something is happening behind closed doors. One ex user said on Monday. You know, I can concur. But then, you know, like I said, hey, it's suspicious. I'm not gonna front, but we know Esau, man. All eyes on 3i Atlas, but suddenly the silence is deafening. Another person posted. Yep. And so this guy right here, he was kind of explaining it somewhat. I watched this short. We can play it. And this is for educational purposes only. Maybe grab a couple of these comments. But, you know, basically, let me just get the scripture again. 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. You know, because he's in the job, you know, one of his jobs, or, you know, he's into information grabbing and holding and pushing it the way that he wants it to be pushed. I'll put it that way. That's what he's into. He's best at that. You know, he's an information gatherer, data gatherer, and he uses it to his advantage as he sees fit, you know. But overall, if you were to go on TV, any of these governments, you know, go on TV and say, hey, well, you know, we see something out there and we know for a fact that shit got an engine or some kind of propulsion, you know, or some type, and we know for a fact this big motherfucker is not just a big rock floating through the skies, then, you know, that would send people would stop going to work. People would stop, you know, the whole world will be turned upside down. But guess what? It's going to come a point when the Lord do come. That's exactly what's going to happen. You know, especially after America is destroyed, everything is going to go into a standstill. You know, all these governments are going to go into standstill, you know, until, government is set up, you know, so to speak, you know, when the men of the Lord come out of those crafts, you know, or the father craft, so to speak, you know, and set order back on this planet, man. Well, let's play this little video of this guy here. And this is from Juniper Ellis. I think this is a ladies channel. Let me see though.
Astronomers have confirmed the discovery of Atlas, the third known interstellar object to ever pass by our solar system, and this is the exact trajectory that it will follow. And in case you didn't know, an interstellar object is an object that comes entirely from a different star system, and this is a big deal, because this is only the third time in recorded history that we've ever spotted something like this. The first was Oumuamua back in 2017, which we still don't know what it was because it didn't behave like any space object that we had ever seen. Then there was Borisov, the interstellar comet that we discovered in 2019, but there wasn't much special about it. But now there's Atlas, and this is the most mysterious of them all. Atlas was first discovered in 2024 by an automated telescope network that was designed to spot dangerous asteroids near Earth. At first, they thought it was just another normal comet, but when they tracked its movement, they realized that it was moving way too fast. And it wasn't bound by our sun's gravity, which is a defining trait of interstellar objects, because the escape velocity from the sun's gravity is about 42 kilometers per second, but Atlas was moving at over 60 kilometers per second. Astronomers believe that Atlas might be a chunk of material that was ejected from another solar system, possibly from a star that's already dead, and it could be made from ice and dust that's older than our planet, literally a piece of alien material. But just like Oumuamua, Atlas isn't behaving exactly like we expected, because it's surrounded by a faint coma, which is that fuzzy cloud that you see around comets. But its tail is extremely unusual, suggesting that it might contain exotic chemicals that we haven't seen before, and researchers now are trying to point powerful telescopes at it to analyze it. They're trying to find out what it's made of and what's so unique about it. What makes all of this even crazier is how rare these encounters are, and by studying these interstellar visitors, we could find hints about how life spreads across the galaxy. If chunks of ice and organic material can spread from one galaxy to another, then maybe life can as well. So what do you think? Let me know your thoughts down in...
Okay, anyway, yeah, you know, some of that good stuff, you know how they get down on, but they got this, you know, the NASA's James Webb Space Telescope, all this stuff, man. You trying to tell me that with these telescopes, now we talking about so-called UFOs that's right within the atmosphere that's coming in and out of oceans and flying low. And you don't think that these people can't these motherfuckers can pick up on whether you selling a nick bag in the park, man, from space. You zoom in on your ass from space and see, yup, that's a nick bag of whatever weed it is. They can name it down to whatever fucking grade it is. But you trying to tell me they don't have no clear footage of what's really going on here, man? Get the fuck out of here, man. Esau, and he's nosy as hell. Motherfuckers study every damn thing. So, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We know that Esau knows what's going on, and actually, since he knows what's going on, he's in movement on a number of levels, because he sees a lot of things happening at one time that he probably wasn't expecting to just jump off on his ass real quick. But mainly with the men of the Lord waking up, the children of Israel, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans coming back to their true nationality. They wasn't expecting for this thing to grow like how it has. Revelation 12:12, it says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down, having great wrath, because he know that he had but a short time." So him seeing all these different things, and again, just me speaking as a man, it's a lot of distractions that's out here. There's got people, and plus, motherfuckers ain't watching football and a bunch of bullshit. They can't wait till Taylor Swift knew what video this bitch gonna do, when she's going on tour. And you got your rapper over here, your P Diddy over here, your a bunch of doofy shit going on, and these people not paying no attention. So all these distractions, man, could just be the number one. This could be one of the number one distractions that they're trying to distract the people from. They could have seen this far longer before they even started talking about it. And could have been building up, causing certain uproars of the people and doing their different, because a lot of this stuff is being orchestrated, it's being created, man. But that's just me speaking as a man on that end. But either way, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, man. We know that this guy's not gonna come right out and give you these crystal clear. I can't even say 4K. Motherfuckers probably got a 34K, 54K fucking images of what's going on, man. Right, right down to a damn serial number on this thing, man. And they ain't gonna tell you that, because that's Esau, man. You know what I'm saying? He's got the people out here really just fucking stupid, especially these Americans. But anyway, I'm gonna end out there. I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwam Yasha'Allah and a Bible ball, and that article was in the Daily Mail. So if you want to go into it, and I know brothers, may have a different take. But yeah, Daily Mail, man. Matter of fact, I didn't go into the comments. Let's see some of these comments. Okay, somebody says this is a more detailed image. I did see something like this closer. It kind of looked like some AI, though, Somebody says that's a real image. Anyone can see that's fake. Okay, well, somebody said, okay, he came back and said, no, it's enhanced from this. Yeah, it looks about the same. I don't, Yep, somebody said read Ezekiel, which I didn't bring that up. Yep. Ezekiel, goes off into the roll and the wheel and things of that nature. And also in, let me see. Every time I read this right here, let's see if it's Psalms. I think it's Psalms 18. Yep, all the way every time I read in Psalms chapter 18. Let me start at verse 9. And this is talking about Yahweh, which is the true name of the Father, which means he exists, or the existing one. And the true name of his son is Yahweh Shai, which means that he exists. Salakia, he's the Savior or Deliverer in the Paleo Hebrew. But let me start at verse 9. Psalms 18:9, it says, he bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. He rode upon a cherub and did fly. Yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. Right? He made darkness his secret place. His pavilion round about him were dark waters and thick clouds of the sky. See, and that's pretty much about where this thing is at. You know what I'm saying? Like, every time I read this, I can just imagine, you know what I'm saying? because it's metaphoric, at the same time. It's kind of a deep, a dark saying. Verse 12, it says, at the brightness that was before him, his thick clouds passed, hailstorms and coals of fire. And one time I can remember going into this, at the brightness that was before him, his thick clouds passed, hailstones and coals of fire. So I asked, I think it was AI, a year or so back, about the hailstones and coals of fire. Like, if something was moving that fast, would it actually cause ice and fire at the same time? Type. I don't know. I forgot how I worded it, but that's pretty much about it on it. Because I'm thinking, let me see. Matter of fact, give me a sec. Okay, so I asked ChatGPT, and this is just me speaking as a man, to just qualify that. This is not a doctrine or anything like that. But I asked, and I don't know why I asked it that day when I read it, because it was just something about it. It was just like, what, let me. But that's been a while, and I can't remember exactly what was said. But I asked ChatGPT, can an aircraft move fast enough to cause ice and fire? It says, interesting question. The short answer is yes, but under specific conditions. Let's break it down. Fire, extreme heat. An aircraft can move fast enough to generate fire-like heat due to air friction and compression at high speeds. At hypersonic speed, about Mach 5 or 5 times the speed of sound, which this thing is moving way faster than any of this shit, the air in front of the aircraft compresses so violently that its temperature can exceed 1000 Celsius to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. This heat can ionize the air, creating a visible plasma glow. That's what we're kind of seeing in this image. And again, this is me speaking as a man, because it's got that green look to it. It can look like fire around the craft. Space shuttles and re-entering capsules experience this effect. That bright fiery trail you see on re-entry is superheated air and plasma, not literal flames on the surface. Okay, so it has ice, extreme cold. At the same time, other parts of the aircraft can freeze. At high altitudes, the air is extremely cold, and that's far, super far out, often below negative 60 degrees Celsius or negative 76 degrees Fahrenheit. If the aircraft surfaces cool rapidly, especially if it climbs fast or enters moist air, ice can form on some parts even while others are hot. Supersonic jets like the Concorde dealt with this. Okay, oh yeah, the supersonic, the Concorde jet. Supersonic jets like the Concorde dealt with this. Their nose would get very hot, but their fuel tanks and tail section could be icy cold. So yes, it's theoretically possible for an aircraft moving at extreme speeds and altitudes to have both ice and fire effects on different areas at once, causing bishock heating in the front and freezing high altitude elsewhere. Would you like me to show a diagram or a simulation of how those heat and cold zones appear on a high speed? All right, well, yeah, sure, let's just see. Fuck it. Again, this is just me speaking as a man, Thinking longer for a better answer. All right, let's see what this is. Come on, bro. It's a lock here. Here we go. I think maybe here we go. Okay, it says done. I made a simple schematic showing the hot shock heated nose and cooler aft tank regions on a hypersonic aircraft. You can download the image here. Okay, cool. Let's see if we can. Okay, so here you go right here, where they showing you how, I guess, how hot will be in the front here. Mach 5 re-entry. Okay. So it's 800 to 1500 in the front. Then it would hit normally about 150 to 400. What appears to be maybe the window section of it, and then the belly part of it, or the almost at the end part of it, or the just past the mid section or mid part, 20 to 50 degrees ambient heated patches, and then at the tail end, yep, 0 degree, 60, negative 60. So it can be hot in the front, super duper hot in the front, and be below freezing in the back, which is crazy. And I don't know why I asked that day. It was just like, I was reading. It was just like, I'm like, well, what does this mean? I'm still, and I'm not exactly, 100 on it, but it was something that I thought of, and I kind of just I didn't even have Chat GPT at the time. It's been a while since I asked that question, because I read it. Let me get it back again. Psalms 18:10. It says, "And he rode upon a cherub, and did fly. Yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind." And again, it's metaphoric when it talks about the chariots in a lot of areas. He made darkness his secret place, and that's a dark region out there, man. His pavilion round about him were dark waters, because we know that that's the firmament. You know what I'm saying? All that space up there, that's water. The dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. Whew. And that's why, sometimes, you'll see, certain clouds, man. They can be coverts, or like an invisibility cloak type of deal. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no telling how many chariots be out in the skies, man, just cloaked as clouds, so to speak. Okay, but it says, at the brightness that was before him, his thick clouds passed, hailstones and coals of fire. Yeah, so, like I said again, it was me speaking as a man. Verse 13, the Lord also thundered in the heavens, and the highest gave his voice, hailstones and coals of fire. Yeah, he sent out his arrows and scattered them, and he shot out lightnings and discomfited them. See, and I don't know, I was just reading it, it just sounded like, when the Lord get to zapping these people, man, when he comes, man. Then the channels of the waters were seen, and the foundations of the world were discovered at thy rebuke. O Yahweh, at the blast of the breath of thy nostrils. Whew. He sent me from above. He took me and drew me out of many waters. Okay, well, anyway, I didn't want to keep it long. It was just something that just came to mind. But again, that's me speaking as a man. It's not no doctrine or nothing like that. But of course, you're going to. Matter of fact, let's see, Ezekiel. I'm just going to put in which I didn't even go into Ezekiel, Salakia. Okay, so I asked, why do people think Ezekiel's will is talking about a UFO? It says that's a really good question, and it gets to the heart of how people mix ancient descriptions with modern technology. Here's a breakdown of why many people interpret Ezekiel's will within a wheel vision as a UFO. What Ezekiel actually described, Ezekiel 1, and again in chapter 10, the prophet describes a whirlwind coming from the north surrounded by fire and brightness. 4 living creatures, each with multiple faces and wings, wheel within wheels, full of eyes that could move in any direction without turning. The sound of the creatures' wings were like the noise of great waters or an army. Above them was something like shining crystal throne and figure like man glowing with fire. That's what the text literally says. It's very visual, mechanically sounding, and full of motion and light. Why some think it sounds like a UFO. When people in the 20th century, during the rise of aviation and UFO sightings, read Ezekiel's vision, they noticed wheels within wheels could sound like rotating crab parts or even a gyroscopic mechanism. The ability to move in any direction without turning resembles anti-gravity or vertical takeoffs. Well, I mean, hey, this is what we've been seeing as far as like the footage that, they've been showing, man. The brightness, fire, and noise resembles a rocket engine or energy propulsion system. The figure like man on a throne above it could be imaged as a pilot or being controlling the craft. Writers like Erich von Däniken in Chariots of the Gods, 1968, might have to check that out, polarized the idea that Ezekiel's chariot of God might have been visitation from extraterrestrials, interpreted by Ezekiel in the only language he had available 2,500 years ago. They have number 3 on here, traditional religious views. In Judaism and Christianity, Ezekiel's vision is not about aliens or machines. It's a spiritual vision of God's glory. The wheel represents God's omnipresence and mobility. He can move anywhere on earth. The eyes symbolize God's all-seeing knowledge. The living creatures, cherubim, are angelic beings, not robots or pilots. The whole thing is symbolic, not mechanical. Well, we believe it to be, mechanical, or, definitely something physical, not what they're talking about. Okay, so number 4 on the list. In short, interpretation, view of the wheel. Ancient religious, symbolic, spiritual throne of God. Main idea represents divine glory. Okay. Modern UFO theory, physical mechanical object, describes an alien spacecraft Ezekiel witnessed. Pretty much what we just read. Psychological visionary, altered state imagery. Ezekiel saw a vivid, prophetic, and aesthetic vision. Okay. Anyway, yeah, they saying, would you like me to show what both versions might look like? One of the traditional biblical vision? Yeah, but shit, let's check that out. I'll end out there. And one of the UFO style interpretation side by side in image. Yeah, let's see shit. And that could be interesting. Let's see. It's a lot of y'all. I ain't even think this is gonna go this route, but hey, just moving in the spirit, man. Just because none of us really know, man, until we. Because as of late, man, I've within the past 3 or so weeks, I've seen 2 sets of or maybe 3, what they would call UFOs, man. I know there's the chariots. I seen one, what was that, week before last at camp, while I was at camp. Okay, they said a lot of people are processing images. Let's see. Okay, I've been waiting for a while. It's taking this thing too long to upload it, but it's not important like that. We got the point. I didn't want to keep it long anyway, but yeah, hey, we're gonna see. We're gonna see soon. We definitely believe that, these are the chariots of Yahweh H.I.M, man. Somebody says, oh my God, that looks huge. Yeah. Hell no. Damn, somebody says, I hope it's aliens, and I hope they take Trump with them, but I know they don't want our junk. Somebody says they want only people of color, rejects. Yeah, well, guess what? They only want people of color, the true people of the Lord. That's crazy, right? That they would say that the people of color are rejects. Well, guess what? Those same people that are gonna be pulled up in those bad boys are gonna come back and put the boot to your goddamn ass. Said it's the Lord Jesus coming back to strike all the Democrats down. No, the Lord is coming to destroy all of Americans. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, progressives, whatever the fuck you leaning towards, it's not gonna make no difference. If you're not a part of the hopefully elect and you in this land, your ass is gonna get torched. This right here. Yeah, America got some things coming to it. And people so fucking stupid, bro. They really just, it's comical until it all happens, man. But I'm gonna end out there. I pray that this lesson was edifying with that. Kwame Yasha Allah in a bubble ball.